These were all countries that I knew never in a million years would I travel on my own. And so I thought, what better way to experience this than in a very guided, safe way, and knowing that I was going to, that somebody was doing the research to make sure, to ensure that I was going to get the most out of this experience.
In Vietnam, which was the first country we actually spent time in, we were in Ho Chi Minh City. We were there during their Unification Day celebration and their equivalent of our Memorial Day. So we got to see culture and business from the aspect of the opposite of what we would as Americans see.
Ho Chi Minh City specifically is a lot more developed of a nation, like a lot more urban. They have the skyscrapers, and that's very obviously the more affluent areas of the country, because as soon as we were out of Ho Chi Minh City and when we took the tour down to the Mekong Delta, that's when we got to the more jungle areas, the more country type areas, and that's where a lot of the locals live. But that was where I definitely got my biggest piece of perspective. So it was definitely a bit of a culture shock in that respect.
Singapore, just a very clean and very business-oriented city. Very new, fairly young culture. So seeing a new business culture developing in Asia made a huge impact.
I love Singapore. Singapore is probably my favorite place. When we went to go sit with the executives from Abbott Laboratories in Singapore, that piece was really interesting to me, just to see from an HR perspective, just to kind of see how they differ in, or how they have to adapt to the cultural differences, the marketing differences.
If you're thinking about doing a study abroad, whether it's for cultural reasons or for actual curriculum reasons, you should do it, because it will change your perspective of the area that you're going into for your schooling, or just the cultural differences that you may see every day here in the U.S., but not know where they come from. Because the U.S. is a melting pot of many cultures, and to see the history of where those cultures came from is amazing.
My biggest tip would be, don't let fear hold you back. I took a leap of faith over and over and over when I was on this trip. Things that terrified me, like climbing into a tiny boat that I swore I was gonna tip. And I was scared to death, but after I did it, I thought to myself, I did that. And I can look back and say that I did that. And so allowing yourself to kind of pop your little bubble that you tend to live in is probably the most eye-opening thing you could ever do for yourself.